This is Tara, the goddess. Buddha. So many depictions of the same master, which is determined by the people. Another thing is how it's been really important to have an embodiment of God that is echoed within humanity, the temple, within human form. It doesn't matter where you go in the world, you'll always see that naturally, because it is the human conduit that is actually exploring this and expressing it. So it kind of brings to question, have we created God in our image, or did God create us in his image or her image? Beautiful thought. I think by exploring and looking at these various artifacts, quite clearly there's a complexity and a true richness of life, whereby in some cultures there is no separation between the seen world and the unseen world, and they're made manifest. And how the sovereignty is often the head of the state, or the sovereignty is often spiritual in nature or metaphysical in nature. And this is echoed throughout most civilizations, and how important it has been to make sacred the mundane, to make sacred the everyday human activity, and to give it meaning. I really feel inspired now as I share this, the need to give life meaning and the expression of life, including the union of the masculine, of the feminine and the masculine. Which is something to attain. Beautiful trees, so detailed, and that is Shiva and Parvati, and I think they're very happy to see each other, very much in love. As we move through to Japan and China, that the artwork in some level becomes a lot more delicate and quite beautiful, really, in a lot of ways. You really do tend to get a flavour of the people in terms of what they are, what they feel the need to reproduce as something aesthetically beautiful, something that's precious to them. It does feel a lot more sort of sober and a lot more serious. Not that the others weren't serious, but there's I don't know, there's definitely a different energy. the Ming dynasty, 16th century. And as you can see, they all have Chinese faces, which makes sense because they are seeing themselves through God. As you move through the various cultures and we go back in time, the picture becomes pretty similar. This is Celtic Europe, and you can see these pots, and you'll see very similar constructions all over the world at this time. It's quite fascinating to me how they would have lived back in those days. The hearth of the house with fire would have been in the central area of the abode. Then of course you have the cross and the universal meaning, the crossing of the two lines with a circle around it, which is often found on top of most churches, which is a pagan symbol. I mean, no doubt these cultures had their own flair and their own flavour. And if it wasn't for them, the world wouldn't be the way it is now. So it's not really a matter of making something right or something wrong. It's just simply how it is and how it has become. I guess I'm just asking the question, if we continue this way, are we going to continue to try and enslave one another, control one another? For what aim? Have we moved beyond that idea now? And what I find really interesting is how there have been certain groups of people who felt the need to expand whatever technology or information that they had, a sense of invading other people and having ownership over them as being part of a bigger picture of philosophy, of trade, etc. It's also interesting to me to encounter Christianity and what that means and what that has meant for the planet. That God is found everywhere and within us, and yet there are all these depictions or symbols that represent Christianity or Jesus. And the fact that another human being, of course Jesus was human just like us, who gave his life for mankind. So there's a sense of suffering in that, and how that has, on some level, affected how we pray, and this sort of bittersweetness attached to this faith and this religion, as well as handing over what we're not able to manage. I think for me, though, it's what I feel I have struggled with is the fact that it wasn't openly offered, the fact that the idea of God residing within each and every one of us. That's all we really need to know, to commune with the divine within us, and how Jesus was an example of that. And how now we are in a time where the idea of sin and salvation has come to a head, and that something is living and arising within us. And it's wonderful to be on the planet now, to observe the whole arc of life and the whole spiral of where life has taken us, and seeing ourselves through various timelines and through each other. So here we are in the Great Hall again. That's where I was a minute ago. Where is it? Up there, up there. An incredible building, as you can see. Amazing, really. Culture, how we're able to emanate creativity and spirituality in such magnificent ways, truly giving homage to the gods and ourselves. These galleries, designed to contain the Parthenon sculptures given by a British lord. That was very kind of them, considering it didn't belong to them in the first place. So here we are, more of these depictions of half human, half horse, centaur. Why is this image depicted in so many cultures? What is the relevance? I wonder, how long has humanity actually been on this planet? How long have we been asking the same questions? Are we in a place now in our evolution whereby we are clearly remembering who we are? Have we forgotten? Did we have civilizations that at one time were far more advanced? Do we feel the energy in these pieces? As I walk through these different sections into one room, it's almost as if I'm time traveling. It's quite amazing. And I'm in this section now, which is ancient Mesopotamia, which is Persia, ancient Iran. And it's interesting how that part of the world over the past few years has been having a whole lot of attention and being invaded. And yet it's one of the root races on one of the areas that was definitely of spiritual significance through history. Of course, the cradle of civilization in this area. They make reference to these beings, the Anunnaki, etc. And the first form of writing. Can you imagine 3,000-4,000 years ago walking and encountering something like this? And some of them were considerably larger as a gateway. And here are some of the larger ones, which are quite mythological really in a way, half human, half horse. And which takes us to a point, a time before history, which we, though this would be regarded as historic, but the truth of the matter is that this goes back to aspects of mythology, which is we still find difficult to get our heads around. Why there were creatures that were depicted, or humans that were depicted as half human and half animal. And that's another story, a very exciting one. It's interesting that one of them has horse feet and the other one has bird feet. I just wanted to show you this. This is a frieze from ancient Syria, Mesopotamia, and if you have a look, it has all the images of a particular ceremony that's going on. And then they've got this whole text clearly explaining something. This timeless ceremony winged beings, humanoids. So here we are, one of the more famous ones, symbolic scene, dressed in ritual robes and holding the mace symbolizing authority. And of course you have the flying disc, which is depicted also in ancient Egypt, and then the tree of life. All its different levels. I wish I could understand the language. And here's the other winged god, which looks as if he has some sort of cone in his hand, which he's using with the head of the king or the priest. So it looks as if these winged beings are actually blessing the human as in authority now of this tree of life. The god who may be the sun god has a ring in one hand. This is an ancient Mesopotamian symbol of God-given kingship. There are protective spirits on either side behind the king. This symmetrical scene, heavy with symbolism, was placed behind the royal throne. There was another opposite the main door and throne room. Similar scenes occupied prominent positions in some Assyrian palaces. I wanted to show this image of the crooks or the staffs, shepherd staffs, that it did not originate from the time of Jesus and the bishops, but quite clearly this is something that originated way before from ancient Egypt. So, and before, naturally. Here's another depiction of a hooked staff. This one is from AD 800s to early 1100s. And this says, this magnificent silver and copper alloy case contains a yew wood kreuzer, which is a hooked staff, a bishop of abbots, symbol of office. And as you see, it's not something that originated from this part of the world, but has been adopted. Originated from much earlier civilizations. This beautiful goddess. Look at the headdress. So stunning. Amenhotep III. And it's interesting that his name is spelt A-M-E-N, which is Amen, which is often used in at the end of prayers. At this beautiful place, you can see the colours still that would have been used in the stunning terracotta colour with the blues. But I think it's a metaphoric doorway, and it's something that I feel very pulled to whenever I come here. The ram, suggesting the age of Aries, his beloved Horus. Hi! I love this artifact, and you can see if you look closely that there are also hieroglyphics in there. It might be easier to see here. But as I zoom out, see what it's doing, and this is an ancient symbol for eternity. 710 BC, apparently. But it's quite evocative, isn't it?